Welcome back to my channel, to those who have been with us for a little while, and to those who, hey sweetheart, and to those who are new to the channel, welcome also. So for those who have been following our journey for a little while now on our Instagram channel, which I'll put a pop-up on the screen right here, you may have seen a photo of Jewel wearing this particular bridle. We've been working on this for a little while now, of getting her used to the feel of the bridle and the feel of the bit. Now, while this might look as just a regular bridle, to us it has some sentimental value in that it came from a very good friend of ours who sadly said goodbye to her best friend of 26 years back in August. So my dear friend gifted me this bridle, which was her pony's, and for us to continue our journey together with the very same bridle. So with that little intro over, I'm going to show you guys what worked for us in getting Jewel used to the feel of the bridle and obviously also the bit as well. And yeah, we'll go from there as to what tips and tricks worked for us, what we tried, what didn't work. So let's grab some food and we'll go from there. G'day everyone, this is Jewel and I'm Zoe. This is a little reminder that I'm not a professional horse trainer, so anything you do see in my videos is only intended to be a guide. So with that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that I actually wanted to do with Jewel, and she's actually proving my point right here. This is much what she did the first time that I showed her this bridle, because the horse that this belonged to, Jewel actually knew her quite well. So it was almost like she paid her own little 1 minute respect as well. And this is much what she did. She sniffed it thoroughly all over. And I wanted to make sure that she knew what this was. She already knew Cora's bridle. She's actually doing what I trained her to do. And where that started, I got small handfuls of her food like this. And I just offered the bridle to her, and I actually encouraged her with my hand like this to just willingly put her nose inside the bridle without actually putting the bridle on her. I wanted her confidence there on her own to offer her a head and just put the bridle on and shake it around like this and try to put it up her head, again without actually putting the bridle on. She's only got a halter on for the purpose of this video, but all her bridle training was done completely at liberty. The step after that was offering the bridle up and just starting to just play around her lip with the bit so that I wasn't putting it in her mouth, but she got used to the feel of it, and then I'd take it away and I'd give her some food. Once I got her solid on that, what I started doing was I started bringing my hand up like this and resting it up on top of her head. So offer her a nose, Jewel, good girl, and do it like that. So she got used to the feel of me starting to do the action of that. And she'd get little bits of food for this as well. And for times when she was extra good, where she really held that position, she didn't try and get out of it, and she got a little something extra, which could have been a little bit of carrot, or as I've got in my pocket today, I've got some very tiny pieces of licorice. Now, I know it's not really horse food, it's not really good for them, but hey, if it leaves a good positive result and she leaves off feeling good what she's done for me, then for the purpose of training, I don't see the harm in giving her just teensy-wincy little pieces. I'd have some feed ready in my hand and I'd offer my hand up. Good girl. Good girl. And so the position would be my hand in the correct spot. Now, when I first started doing all this and first trying to get her used to putting the bit in, she actually used to back up a lot. She used to toss her head right up. She's like, no, you're not doing that. And that's when I started doing all this training with her. From there, I started edging the bit. And so what I started doing was I started to, prime example of what she used to do, a lot of, easy. You're okay. Do it for Maggie. Do it for Maggie. Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. And so sometimes this is what I have to do is, even though she's already had the bridle on, she's had the bit in without any fighting, sometimes this is what I do is I just take everything right back as if I'm retraining her to do it. I find it just helps with her confidence. And again, this is just what's worked for us. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but for Jewel, being the overthinker that she can be, we found that this works quite well for us. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl. And this is something else that I did, was I just sort of held the back of her head without actually holding her, and just slipping the bridle on without, again, putting it on, and then giving her little bits of food. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. Good. And that was something, this is something else I started to do, was hold the position with my hand holding the bit, again, without putting the bit in her mouth. So as you can see, there's a lot of baby steps that we did to get Jewel comfortable with this big heavy lump of metal just humbly sitting right near her nose, and she's like, what's this? It smells funny, I don't want that in there. Good girl. And then we started resting against her lip like that with her hand in position. Good girl. So the trick I learnt here was I didn't take the bridle off her head if she kept tossing. I'd leave it there until she held still for just a moment or two, and then I'd remove it, so that way she didn't keep getting the habit of keep tossing every time the bridle was on her head. Good girl. And so if you missed what I did there, which I know I went a little bit quick, was Jewel didn't respond right away to me putting my fingers in the corner of her mouth to actually open her mouth for the bit. So what I did there was, as most of you horse owners will know, is that behind their incisors, but in front of the molars, there's no teeth here. So she can't bite me, there's just gum there. And so all she wants to do is get my finger out of her mouth. And so by just rubbing my finger there, maybe tickling her tongue a little bit with my finger, she would open her mouth, and then I'd slip the bit in like I've just done here. And that's about where we're at now, is she's just learning how to actually accept the bit. We have our off days, as you've just seen. She doesn't always respond to it. Sometimes she wants to have her little moment and toss her head. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. But since she's done very nice for me and she accepted the bit, you guessed it, she's just got a little bit of licorice. And so we just sort of have a little moment and think about that for a minute, and we'll just stand here and we'll talk to her and tell her that she's a good girl and she's a little rock star. And then we'll gently come up here and we'll take the bridle off. And then what I often did from here was I'd repeat the previous exercise without putting the bridle on, just so that it breaks the connection of expecting the bridle on every time the bridle's near her head. And sometimes I'd pull the bridle apart completely, take the bit off, and put the bridle on without the bit. So she'd get used to the feel of me coming up here and putting the headpiece on, just without the weight of the bit. There you go, good girl. You superstar. Good girl. There you go. There you go. Good girl. So, as you can see, we've still got a few bumps to iron out and a little ways to go before she's really confident, but this is how we got this far, and hopefully leaving a little bit of a positive spot in her mind that the bridle doesn't have to be a bad thing. So as always, guys, drop us a comment below, and we'd love to hear, hey sweetie, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a question for either of us, again, drop a comment below. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, Subscribe and turn on notifications to our channel. Drop a comment below and let us know what you'd like to see.